So I'm going to open a discussion with a very simple question. What did you learn today? Who learned something? All right, the first hand up was Mary. Mary, what did you learn?
How to use the cohort method.
Good.
And how not to use it.
Ah, even better. That's good. What were some lessons learned? Anna, you had a lesson.
That how much faster things can be done. And I can see with more clarity in the instructions and the Wi-Fi connection. And we are going to continue working on this. It's fabulous. You know, you have a connection to how many different dictionaries. You know,
43?
you know, it's,
Up to them.
it's amazing.
No, it is amazing.
You can search across multiple dictionaries. You cannot do that.
Yeah, in 2.5 hours, what you got done in 2.5 hours. Anna, beforehand, how long would you have predicted that would have taken someone?
10 months?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So everybody's going to be out of jobs. Oh wait, that's
No, we're going to create
we're going to create new jobs.
more than 10 times, no, right, so how more, 10 months divided by how many hours? Yeah. More than that, whatever that
2,000 hours a year.
we're going
Yes,
to create all those new jobs.
All those new jobs. What else was learned?
I like the kind of clear distinction of the cohorts, like comparator, target, and outcome. I learned a lot about propensity score and the plots from. I wish I could generate some.
So the idea that you can distill almost any comparative cohort study down into defining 3 different cohorts took several years of sort of distillation of thought, mostly due to Patrick and Martine. And it is some very wonderful insight because it now gives us a generic framework in which to define a large number of problems, which beforehand we might have thought there's something one-off that we have to do each of these. So that's a good contribution. In addition to the target, comparator, and outcome, what were the other key pieces of information to define ahead of time?
Time at risk.
Kind of time at risk.
And
New model. Outcome model.
And kind of what the outcome model is, right? And what the outcome model is and how you use it depends on the types of outcomes. You know, our examples were survival problems, so you have both censoring and time to events. You might think about a Cox non-proportional, sort of proportional hazards model. One of the example, the Garvey example was counting number of events, so these are recurrent events. So you might look at some sort of Poisson process. We can certainly move past just logistic regression. There's plenty of binary classification putting together a propensity score model.
Yeah, although it's not, I mean, it's not a given that that's better.
No.
I mean, Nicole's one, like UTI, it's not obvious whether you can do it as binary.
Yeah.
Did you have one or not in some period of time? You can do it as count. You can do it as time.
To the next event.
These are just different questions.
did you actually ever discuss it somewhere, all this back and forth?
So we discussed that they exist and that there are differences. There are certainly differences in the underlying assumptions that you have to make.
But that's not explicit, that's all in your head.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why I'm worried that, you know, that
I mean,
people will look at it like the rabbit at the snake and not knowing. No.
So do you think that's something one should look at as an empirical question?
Yeah.
Because it's a trade-off of model misspecification versus losing information. Right? If you look at I want to do survival versus did something happen within the first year or not.
Well, I mean, you're just looking. It's a different question. Just you're changing the ground outcome. You're changing the question that you're trying to address.
It's going to be so much easier to communicate with each other with a system like this because you are not reading a static report. You are actually reading exactly what happened each step. And then if there are mistakes, it's easy to correct them, no? And then moving forward, then you have a better system.
Yeah, it's certainly easier to correct because we have a reproducible system where you run through the steps again, right? Without having to say, oh, there's a mistake, I need to get back in touch with the student that put together this list of ICD-9 codes for me and move forward from there. The reproducibility really is key to bringing the science into these types of
And
studies.
transparency.
You see right through me.
One feedback I would add, if any changes would be done to the tutorial, is to actually right from the beginning assume that you will have negative controls and you will run multiple triplets of C, D, and O target comparator.
check, you ready for tutorial number 2?
Well, no, I would actually
Yeah.
write from the start saying, because you finish that one study and then you say, oh, you always want negative controls and you are not done. So it was easy to follow, to grasp everything, and I felt like, oh, but I still haven't, I'm not at the end because I will need to do something really meaningful, just in sync with the statement of don't do just single study. So this kind of tutorial, I mean, it was at the end for the programmers. I get to peek from there, but
Yeah, but
I felt like this is almost a piece you want to start with and keep in mind all the time through the tutorial, and just knock out this little one thing, but still keep in mind that long bigger goal.
And we'll come back to kind of eliciting more feedback on how to restructure this tutorial and how to develop new ones in a couple of slides. That's very helpful. A number of tasks still remain in front of you. Who has a paper ready for submission? So what types of tasks are still in front that you haven't broached yet? We have reliability through negative controls, running it. Running it.
We have still questions about the dose.
The actual drugs that we want to look at.
We have the dose response there.
Those are questions.
So who's interested in taking the project that you started today and turning it into a paper? That's all on video. Perfect.
Mary, you're a student. You're supposed to want papers.
So some points to remember. Today we talked about one specific design of one of many designs that we have in the OHDSI Methods library, the cohort method. The cohort method itself is built upon a large number of underlying packages that form the OHDSI R tool stack. I will point out on this slide particularly patient predictive modeling, which is the propensity score, and also most of the predictive modeling work by Jenna and Peter, and the feature extraction package for bringing out all of the baseline features that we have on the individuals. At the base of those packages are some underlying infrastructure which has involved a considerable amount of investment by individuals. And 3 packages that you should always keep in mind are database connector. This was really a flexible way for us to connect with a large number of different SQL variants, all serving up the OMOP CDM and translating back and forth and making those connections possible in conjunction with SQL Renderer, which allows us to parameterize SQL that we might then render to different variants and execute it against the database and the underlying infrastructure of what's going on in most of cohort method. All of the large-scale model fitting, so the propensity score model for our 17 variable model in our programming tag, up to the tens of thousands of covariates, both for the propensity score and the outcome model, are really made possible at scale by a package named Cyclops. A number of individuals in this room, namely David, Patrick, Martine, and myself, have invested a huge amount of our own time and intellectual work into these. So please try to support this underlying work. And there are a couple of ways that you can support this. Obviously, don't forget to cite the underlying tools that you're using in the along with the results that you generate through using them.
How do you do that?
Cite. Well, I'll have some citations on the next page that we might use. In addition to citing, how about co-authoring with package development, with package developers? We've put a lot of effort into this work. We're happy to help you make sure that your clinical ideas move through to fruition And occasionally that involves thinking about extensions or changes or modification or just a little hand holding. And we're happy to do that. There's a question in the back.
I was just going to say it might be helpful to have the things that are most appropriate to cite in the GitHub, on the GitHub pages.
Or even a set
They're only
function. I know
on
when
one of the
you
GitHub
start a
ones,
package, please
Yeah.
cite this.
So
as
there
R
is,
has
yeah,
this.
so there's, in the R community that's bad, that's bad juju. What you're supposed to do is there's a citation function, which does bring up the relevant citations. Right? But these are, we have to do more than just rely on people knowing about this. We have to instill it in the community, that these are sort of cultural norms that we should be following.
Actually, put it in the Atlas HTML. That's because they don't have the R
Yeah.
codex.
Yeah. Here are some citations you might consider using, one for Cyclops, and of course we don't have any thing in the work right now for cohort method, but Google Scholar does a good job of indexing software now, so that's probably not a problem kind of long term. You remember that we are part of the larger OHDSI community, so if you need help moving forward, don't forget to reach out to the community forums, and in particular, if these are statistical and estimation questions that are of interest to you, please do get involved with the population estimation group, which is focusing on the development of many of these packages. Our community is very active. Almost all of you on this page know about our GitHub repository and the forums, and these are kind of live clips of what's going on, so we can look at how many forum comments we've had in the last couple of minutes as that changes. These tutorials are really put together for you, and we want to make them as informative and useful for participants as possible. I'm sorry, we can't improve yours, but you can help us improve this for future individuals. We've had a couple suggestions on what we can change. I really want to know what went well. What's kind of the best part?
I like the most walking through the first, when Martijn did walking through the R codes.
Okay.
Functions. Before we split the presentation.
Yeah, no, the physical reproduction of the Graham study. Everyone agree?
Yes.
That was the best?
Good.
Yes.
Yeah. Going through
You're
it.
the best, Martijn.
So just Marta, all right, perfect.
Well, and
No, we
then
can really abridge this thing.
Then I also like the first introduction, like in lay words. Like it's a shortcut. I can read a 40-page chapter in a textbook or listen to Patrick for half an hour, and this was.
Oh, give me a textbook any day.
Well, it's required as well, but I like that. Spoon-feeding, being spoon-fed statistics is really good.
Yeah. More importantly, what didn't work? I know it's hard. It's okay.
The internet.
The internet Wi-Fi was a problem, but even with these problems, we were able to understand the concept and how things can be done.
Is there something you'd cut?
So I actually wanted to add to the first bullet,
Okay.
what did not work, what went well. I actually so really enjoyed the hands-on training and actually working through the tools to identify different things, so that I found very, very useful as well.
The one
Yeah.
thing I didn't like adding concept to my concept sets is totally unintuitive. I created that concept, and you should first, like, you are just about to do something, start with the concept set. You try to start with a cohort, and then you try to add concept, and you hit this funny error or stage where I just don't know what to do. And the same thing when you finally create your first concept set, and then I missed that on your demo, but then I ran into it so many times. I had to remind Christoph saying, okay, well, you hit the dead space. Just now, when you don't know what to do, hit the search vocabulary, and it magically will add to the concept that you were on the previous screen.
Yeah.
So that's okay. It's just it needs to be told to the user, saying, you know, the tool kind of knows where you were before. So if you navigate, people are afraid. Like now, when I click vocabulary, I will lose everything.
Yeah.
And you actually don't. It's expected that you do that.
Yeah.
So this was the #1 kind of stumbling thing in the GUI or in the whole. I Atlas part.
We were, yeah, please.
I was a little bit unlucky that my partner left early today, but
We can use handcuffs next time.
yeah, that's one improvement. But I still, even if he had stayed, I really would have loved to do the cohort definition myself as well in Atlas.
Yeah.
So I would have loved to spend one hour more today, or try to change it with another part of the program to do that as well, because now I will leave today and I really miss
They
part
missed
of
the counterfactual experience.
yes, part of the
They had such a great time in here.
yeah.
Except for Wojciech, who wanted to be with us.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit about scheduling. Adler, and then we'll talk a little bit about what to do with scheduling.
So very excited throughout the whole day, and we worked on creating our cohorts, and when it came time to actually generating the effect estimate, we were really excited to do it, and couldn't do it. So we theoretically we should be able to do it by going, we have things set up, we should be able to go in and do it ourselves at our home institution, but because of technical issues it was difficult, because of our constraints. It would have been nice to be able to go all the way through.
So how can we facilitate that?
Well, I mean, so I know that the generate button was disabled. By this time next year, if the generate button is, we have all our infrastructure underneath, able to run these studies, then that solves it. But if not, then an environment where, or at least someone we can send our study to that can evaluate it and give us effect estimates. That I think.
Were you guys able, in the other room, were you able to connect to the data?
We were, but we ran like, what, 17?
Yeah, but we didn't
Because we
extract much.
Yeah,
didn't have
really,
the server connection. But
really restricted down the number of covariates every generated, just because I've noticed the server was so, the server is so slow that it just takes way too long for it to create the covariates.
Would work.
But
So
it
I think
sounds
you want
like,
like a
it sounds like
service
you
where
guys
you can send it to?
But what you could do,
a service or a human that that has access to an environment that can plop in the R code, run it, generate the plots.
So I was messing with Lee Evans on Broadsea, and he was walking me through Postgres through Docker, and we run into like the Windows, for example, the Docker is only 20 gig limit, and we run into that, all sorts of things. But the 1K SynPub, it's actually pretty easy. It's just install Docker and a few commands, and one can have a Postgres SQL running. So ideal option is to prepare your R machine to be able to connect to your real database with connection strings and everything, so that you can run something, and then you would just plug in that thing. We could almost do that, except we had troubles with those definitions to be and the next best thing is to use instead of Redshift. I wonder whether everyone's locals and Postgres through Docker would solve problems offline.
So straightforward.
It is, works. So in theory, Redshift, we should just be able to scale it up. But it just, so I tested it like a couple of days ago, and it was running fine on some code that I ran it against, and then was testing it today, and it was just slow as mud. I just don't know what happened, but it's just something that is a technical problem that we should be able to avoid next time.
It's something we need to work through, and I think we will.
I think we've worn out the data.
Yeah.
I blame the data. I think it's parametrics.
No.
Is the problem.
You've just exhausted the poor database.
Because even the Redshift, even the concept count timed out. When you were browsing the Redshift thing, I was just saying, and I was surprised. It was working, but then I saw concept count timed out. I was like, why is this working and not the concept count?
That's the web API. That's the web server.
It must be fetching the pre-counted ones.
No, but it's the web API timing out. So it's the Broadsea instance basically getting overloaded.
The web part, not the data.
What happened if we would have been connected to the actual atlas data directly to, instead to the one that you set up here in your deck? Would have worked
So
better?
the publicly available version of Atlas
Yes,
only has simulated data.
I see.
So the issue that you would have is, we want you to have the experience of answering a real question, and you wouldn't be able to do that there.
I see.
If we could get an organization to contribute real data to make publicly available, then we could post that there. Right now, the only data we have is simulated.
In spite of the difficulties, I would like to thank IMS for providing that
Yes.
experience. I know raising criticism in a group is often difficult. We really would like your feedback, particularly on what parts to cut, what to expand. One day may or may not be enough. Obviously, for attached to a conference, one day is all you get, but we can tailor specialized short courses that have more content. So as part of your homework, in addition to writing your papers this evening, you'll get a SurveyMonkey invitation to provide some good feedback. Also, I'm interested a little bit on kind of priorities for tutorials for other aspects of the methods library. Are there other designs that people are dying to learn about?
Like, well, so there was this one point where Patrick, you were commenting your 2013 article, and you were saying, well, cohort method has this disadvantage of always having comparator. And at that point, I felt like, okay, so at the end of the tutorial, you will tell me, here's the thing if you don't have a comparator. Like, I just want to say, well, is this drug and time to getting blind? I just want to know it, and not on this drug, or something where I just don't have a comparator. What do I do then? I mean, I should probably read your article first. Read a bunch of statistical stuff, but.
Well, so I think I hear what you're saying is, so we have entire packages on self-controlled designs where you don't have to choose a comparator. So that would be a day-long class in and of itself.
I know, but like 3 slides or 3 glimpses, and especially like walk me through a sample study, just like we had a gram. So like here's a study which has no comparator, and you would technically use this package, and that would be all. And if you're interested, here's the PDF to read and learn. Like the idea where you show screenshots of the study and things, like the results section, and follow up on that, I love that. Like you intertwine article with the method, with the package. This was really good.
It's not unheard of to do cohort method where the comparator is non-exposure. It's fraught, but you do see it. People do it.
Yeah, but we don't recommend it. So we recommend in that case you, for example, use a self-controlled case series.
I was interested in the feature extraction, or feature extraction package where you can design a score that doesn't exist currently.
Yeah, so how to inject your own custom covariance.
Yeah.
Very helpful. People are interested in doing that. All right, so there was a partial vote for self-control case series, some feature construction.
Did you do negative control?
No, we certainly, I mean, a second day on this would be negative and positive controls.
Yeah.
I just don't see how to squeeze it in all in one day.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I did like having that we walked through some studies, but then we also got to do some hands-on stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, because sometimes when you hear talks where they just walk you through studies, if it's the whole day, that would, I mean, even if it was a lot of interesting topics, I think it would be too, not dull, but it would be too much of the same thing.
So we're happy to both.
I like the break.
We're happy to both develop new tutorials, and if this tutorial is one that others at your institution would be interested in participating in, we're also quite happy to schedule time to come and give this tutorial and others. For example, as part of our traveling roadshow, this will be given again just in a couple short months at NU Medical School. So some of you will see there, and the rest of you will hopefully see face to face, or we've got one tutorial at your own institution. Thank you very much for putting up with us for today.